everybody. Welcome back. Happy Thursday.
Hi.
Ashley Dole here, and joined by my co-host, Natasha Velez. If you are new here, this channel really is GovConHacks, where we give you strategic advice, tips, and help make your life easier in government contracting. So you can support us if you're just joining us by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. And we are really going to need participation for tonight's episode. So I look forward to it. How was your week, Natasha?
It was amazing, but it's busy.
Busy? You look so pretty in your...
Thank you. We have soft week next week, so I'm getting ready to look like a human being outside of my troll mode hidden in my house all week. I go outside and I get to see people at conferences, and I'm like, there are people around.
I know, I gotta put eyelashes on.
I was enjoying the non-eyelash for like 3 weeks. I was like, oh.
I spent the whole afternoon on the side of the road today, so I am literally just as I am, not pretty, and not going to soft week either. So I will be here working, can't leave my desk the first week. There is a Monday partner event that I need to attend, and I need to be there for too. So, but let's go ahead and dive in. So I know there's been so much unsurety. Now things are starting to smooth out. And I gotta say, not for nothing, but with forecasts being completely blank, everybody's like, oh, how do I get in front of the opportunities?
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, I went on SAM today. And this morning when I woke up, last night before I went to sleep, there were 3,220.
Mm-hmm.
In pre-solicitation, sources sought.
Mm-hmm.
3,020. Now I'm looking here, there is 3,294. So it's really happening that fast. And while the forecasts are still bland, I wanted to make sure that our audience isn't missing anything, because I'm starting to pick up on the changes that are being made in sort of the terminology, right?
Yeah.
I was going to just kind of sift through some of these and point out some of the things that I'm noticing. I mean, and you probably in your proposal realm have already seen a lot of this stuff.
Well, yeah. And there's some changes, right? There's some keywords we're not allowed to say anymore, and there's some keywords that we're looking for, some FAR regulations removed, and some new executive order FAR regulations being put in place. So we're seeing those changes. But as we all knew it would, and we said it a million times, the government does not stop spending money. They spend quite a bit. It's never going to stop. It's just where they pivot to.
Yeah, they're spending differently. Right.
It ducked down for a little bit and it's back up again.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and share, because I want to show you guys. And this is where the participation comes in, because I'm going to drive and I might show you a whole bunch of stuff that you don't care about, right? But if you chime in and you comment things that you want to see in the comments, I'll let you drive. Basically, you tell me what industry you're in, what you're selling, and I'll show you how I'll go about looking for it and catching it before it's been a solicitation for 7 days. It's due next week. You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing I'm noticing that is very prevalent, is that they're literally letting you know before the solicitation that this is going to happen, right? So how do you make sure that you're in the know too? And you can't always judge it by the title anymore, guys. So let's go ahead and add this to the stage. Probably have to reformat us a little bit. Oh, no, that looks all right.
I like that one.
All right, so here's what I did. And just for the sake of time, the only filters I put in here were responses and date offers due next 3 months and sources sought pre-solicitation. I do not care about solicitations right now. That's not the point of this one. We can cover that in another session. But a lot of folks will see the solicitation. Maybe they're depending on a bid match service or a system or a tool that may only be catching solicitations, right? So this, depending on how you're looking, may or may not be in your face and may not be something that is on your radar. So because I've had to go through this so many times over the last couple of weeks with several folks, I wanted to make sure that the rest of you have this information as well. So This is not anything that has a super hard deadline in pre-solicitation, right? What a pre-solicitation is the government letting you know that it's coming. But a lot of people do ignore them. So I'm showing you this and I'm opening this up because I want to show you how you can use this, right? So there have already been some changes posted to it. It's giving you the state, the city, the designated area, everything is in here. Now, what does that do for you? You now have more time, right? If you need to find the warehouse space or find a subcontractor or whatever it is that you need to do that you're pressed for time between post date and due date in the solicitation, use these to start planning ahead of time. Also, it keeps your finger on the pulse, who's buying what you're selling in a time where we can't really depend on the data. We need sort of another quarter to really.
Right.
I need another quarter to really get my finger on the pulse on that thing. Also, something else I'm noticing as we're going through these, whereas traditionally award notices would have been posted as a special notice, I'm finding award notices in pre-solicitation. So if I'm a subcontractor, trying to target award notices for subcontracting opportunities, I wouldn't even have seen those award notices, right? Because they were in pre-solicitation, not necessarily in special notices.
Right.
So one thing I noticed. Furthermore, the sources sought. So I'm seeing a lot of sources sought notices, and I'm going to show you guys. I'm just going to kind of browse through these. Yell stop if you see something you want me to take a closer look at, right? Let me open the comments and make sure those are front and center. So see stop if you see something that you want to take a closer look at. But as I'm going through here, what I'm noticing is that we can't necessarily depend on the title. Like, for example, those of us who provide any type of support service, right? Whether that be admin support, there are a couple things in here that are just worded differently, right? And that might be to reduce competition and decrease the time having to be spent on evaluation. But if you're a small business in this space, and I'm a small business advocate, missing things just because you don't know, that could have been a contract that sustained you through the year. I have a couple of clients who their contracts are about to expire. They're having a hard time finding opportunities right now to sort of build that pipeline into the next few years. And I will say also, let me drop this across the bottom in a banner, guys. The PSC manual was just updated as of April 2025. So it was just posted. Go ahead and grab it, because if you are like me and you like searching by product service code, there may be a miss there. So if you're looking at the old codes and your codes were broken down, now I have not had a chance to digest that yet to see which categories were affected. So I'll have to table that for a week until I can talk to you a little bit more in depth about it. But it's important for you to be aware of nonetheless. So a lot of these, look at this: notice of intent to sole source, pre-solicitation, right? I'm finding all these weird things, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware. Also,
I think it's all that listed somewhere where other people are noticing that as well.
we're also, still clearly buying electric vehicles. I mean, it's right here in pre-solicitation. Now, here's the thing, though, about some of these sources sought notices. I saw a couple. Here's one. This was one I looked at earlier. This, when I see
I've never seen that.
Depending on, someone who's won contracts for this before, but depending on where it is, right? Because there aren't a whole lot of religious organizations that are registered in SAM in Boulder, Colorado, that have somebody that they can just go and send, right? Depending on the scope of it, I anticipate this is probably going to be under 250,000. So what do we know about that? When I see it under 250,000 and it's in sources sought, I know that I can potentially use the sources sought notice to influence that acquisition, right? So I'm going to give them maybe more information than what they're asking for, with my justifications as to why I should, simply at least give enough to justify that I can do the work, right? Perhaps you might be the only offerer. Why might you be the only offerer? Because folks have, by and large, not in a lot of cases, are the masses focusing on the sources sought notices. So what I'm seeing is sources sought notice, then boom, pre-solicitation award notice, right? So because there's been a change in the way that it's posted, you may not have known, even if you did submit a response, that they were able to award that, without it having to go to the competition phase of the procurement cycle, which means there wouldn't be a solicitation posted, right? So if you're not responding in this phase, especially right now, you're missing out. Now, since you're on the other side, Natasha, and you are doing proposals, other than changes in FAR, are they getting easier? Are they getting harder? Do you see less requirements, more requirements?
I see less requirements. I've noticed less requirements, but also I think that I've also noticed more details and specifications of what they want. I noticed before it was like a guessing game. Like you could tell that whoever wrote the requirements wasn't necessarily sure what they wanted, and it just was very vague. And even in the Q&A, it was that way. I am noticing a little more direction, and I don't know if that's because they are reaching out to their subject matter experts within house and having more conversations to kind of save time from going the back and forth of Q&A. And you think about how much time that costs a contractor and how much time that costs, the contracting officer, but you're just finding a much more seamless process. So I am in appreciation of that.
Yeah.
I get the concept of like saving time and energy. So I do notice that, which is nice. And it's much more targeted. And I've also noticed the titles are better.
Better?
So sourcing, they're more accurate.
Okay.
So I'm like, I don't spend a lot of time sourcing and having to look. I'm like, okay, this is pretty much, it's blatant and it's honest and straightforward. But we've also, with SAM.gov, I'm not a huge, person that kind of uses SAM. I use like all the portals that pull from it. So like HireGov.
Yeah, you have the fancy systems, the paid systems, but not all of our audience has those. So I wanted to make sure
get it, girl.
Out of
if you're serious about it, was it HireGov 500?
Yeah, I mean, HireGov is only $500 a year, guys. We are a partner. If you need it connected to your CRM, you let us know. But it's the most economical on the market right now, and I love it.
I had someone come to me and say, I'm so overwhelmed. And that's fair because I've been in this industry 15 years. I'm still overwhelmed when I go on SAM. I need something just because of my ADHD. I need something that helps me focus. What I like about HireGov is that it gives you a summary. I don't have to spend a lot of time reading 75 pages to try to figure out what the scope of work is. It'll summarize it by the background, the scope of work, and the path, the period of performance. It just gives me the highlights, the things that'll benefit me to make a quick and easy decision to put it in my pipeline or not.
But I mean, I can't help. Look how easy this is, man. They're literally just.
They know what they want, which is nice.
Right. It's not terrible. It doesn't suck.
No, I can't complain.
And your capability statement, guys, when you're responding to these sources sought notices, don't send the generic one. Send the one that's for the thing that you're bidding on.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing is, with all the award notices I'm seeing, not to say that there aren't solicitations, but the amount of simplified acquisitions that are flying off the shelves that aren't making it to solicitation right now is at a pretty high amount. So if your search filters in your fancy paid system do not include pre-solicitations and sources sought, you're probably missing a lot more than what you're seeing right now. And I notice patterns. Like, that's just me. So when I start seeing a whole lot of pre-solicitations and award notices, I'm like, well, wait a minute. And it could be, just the human not being aware, maybe being new in their position. It may be because they just want less hassle from small businesses. Who knows? Whatever the case might be, these are very easy. Now, something like this.
How do you feel about the concept that I think like 60% of people feel like they're a waste of time? I don't feel that way. but that's always the common argument, right?
Now, okay,
it's free paid services.
I'm probably going to tick a lot of people off when I say this, but I mean, it is what it is. In my experience, I've been doing this for a long time. The people that say that they're a waste of time are not using them correctly. Is it true that that source of SOT may never make it to solicitation? Absolutely. That is sometimes true. But the source of SOT phase, they can still talk to you. So, you know, you can still ask questions before you make the determination to respond. And a lot of people don't realize that. So they end up responding and putting a whole bunch of effort into it, not realizing like, hey, man, this was 8 questions. You really didn't have to write a whole proposal. But putting enough in it, because look, there's nothing in the FAR that says you have to give them everything that they ask for. There's nothing in the FAR that says that you can't give them more than what they ask for. And there's nothing in the FAR that says that you can't actually be a little bit late. So even if you see a source of SOT notice that was due a couple days ago and you have a solution, still throw your hat in the ring, because the deadlines on source of SOT are not as hard as they are on solicitations.
Or the requirements. Yeah.
I'll still, if I have something valuable to add to the conversation, I'm sending it. I mean, they can accept it or not. I have never had someone, now within reason, don't try to submit something that was due last month. But if it's just a few days, I have never thrown my hat in the ring a few days late and they didn't acknowledge receipt and accept it, you know? So, but this is one that I noticed, like, that's not really something that is on the radar of someone who maybe is a travel agent or is I mean, yes, lodging it could be, but emergency lodging services, like that would not have been something on my keyword list in some cases.
Yeah.
So just kind of just don't judge the book by its cover, I guess I'm saying. I like that you're noticing the titles are more specific because in services, and let me actually break down services a little bit because I was playing around with this before the episode to see, like, for example, let's click on this guy. What are we using? So we're going to use a consulting NAICS code, but they want a system. It's a operating and support management information system. If I build systems, I would not be looking under that code. That's the point of the episode, you see, because unless you're digging into this and if you're just depending on search results and notifications from existing search results, you're missing a lot more than what you're seeing. If I were looking for opportunities by NAICS code, I would have never have found this. And it reasonably is something that I could potentially bid on. Now, I did already no-go it because they do want FedRAMP authorization. However, your software does have FedRAMP authorization, it's perfect. It's in simplified. It could be simplified acquisition. This one might actually go to solicitation. But how many people didn't see that, you know? So moving down our list here. If you see anything, since nobody's commenting, guys, if you want to drop your core competencies or what you do into the chat or what type of information you're looking for on SAM and you're having trouble finding, let me know. I'll go ahead and show you live and we'll see if we can't find something that works for you.
Professional instructor.
Look at this, advisory and support. And
you notice in your sources SOTs, you're starting to see like events and conferences and stuff?
Yeah, so those are usually under special notices.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of the wild, wild west right now.
I wonder if they got rid of special notices altogether. I don't know.
We can take a look. We can dive down that rabbit hole, actually.
I'm just really curious. I don't see any
using those anymore. Let's see if we're using special notices. We're going to go, whoops, I didn't mean to hit that. Oh, so they did change your search. They also changed usaspending.gov. They're changing the search features. Like this is now contracting. That was kind of threw me off for a moment there. Let's see what's in special notices. So we've got a draft solicitation. Generator maintenance. Hold on a minute. It's not asking for offers, but what exactly is it doing here then? Let's see what it's doing here.
It's not a request for proposal.
Oh, this is a sole source.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is fine.
And again, simplified acquisitions. So guys, they're able to award contracts, sole source, and justify it, because this isn't even an 8A or anything. This isn't small business set aside. This isn't anything. Right. But it is under the simplified acquisition threshold. All right, going through here a little bit further. Army Open Solicitation AOS. Let's see what that is. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is interesting. Aberdeen Proving Ground is announcing that they intend to be using things like broad agency announcements. So that's another thing. OTAs are increasing in popularity. So we are going to have an episode soon on OTAs. What even are they? What can you expect? And I'll just, spoiler alert, there's a white paper involved. So if you're in R&D, even some software development, like there's a lot of innovation that's going to be going through OTAs. So it looks like they're using the special notices area in part erroneously, but also in part to notify you of specific agency changes, targeted agency changes as well. This is actually interesting. I know we have someone in our community that this would be perfect for.
I have a couple of people that do that.
Vancouver, Washington. This is an IDIQ, so they plan on picking someone. It'll probably, and I'm not getting through the attachments right now, but it's probably something like base plus for option years, because they are, putting it as an IDIQ. And that's really, so think about that. Typically, I'd be recompeting translation services every year. The acquisition cost goes through the roof. Every year I compete that. 100 people respond to it. Now I'm reading 100 proposals for something that I could have just done over a 5-year period, right?
Right.
That has its benefits and, pros and cons to everything here. I
love a good IDIQ though. Some people spend their whole lives and that's their whole strategy is just IDIQs.
Well, because it's long-term revenue. And here's the thing is if you are able to land a base 1+4 option, right, and you perform well that first option, a lot of folks think that it's like that they're entitled to those option years. But performing well and also making plans for the subsequent option years with stakeholders internally during that base year is the way to make sure you secure those option years.
That is very true. I had met a guy who was like, I started a business. All we did was focus on IDIQs, and now they were like millionaires at that point.
And I mean, that's the logical next step.
That's a strategy. Okay. I was like, I get it.
It is. It's the logical next step. I mean, think about GSA. I mean, we're moving toward this category management that could drive down profit margins for those long-term contracts. So yeah, you're getting that long-term revenue. And that's really what it's designed for, but your profit margins may not be as high, and that's okay because the revenue is for 5 years, Yeah. So there's a little bit of a trade-off there that we have to consider in business.
Definitely, because you think about it, like as a small business, and I think we say this all the time, but just to reiterate, as a small business, you're spending every month trying to find that next client, right? To keep your revenue up.
Right.
But in the government, you can literally sign a 5-year contract and have stable income. So yeah, it is a trade-off, very much so.
But you do want to make sure that you're growing that pipeline, right? Because what happens if in year 3 your contract, right? You get unseated, and
they say, what is it like? Right? When you have project management, when you win a contract, that project management is still sales. Because you want to build that rapport with in relationship in regards to knowing that there's going to be a recompete at some point. And don't get me wrong, there could always be extensions or modifications to your contract. So there's always the opportunity to upsell, right? You're right there, front facing.
Upselling, yes. Oh gosh,
know?
we could have an entire episode just on upselling.
Oh, I also do that one. But like I'm always like, win the contract, worry about the rest later. Like upsell it once you get it.
Yeah, I hear
you. But you have that, and then you also have the component of if you wanted to upsell it and keep it going and keep that business development going, you can even do it in the contract administration portion. But I think that's like kind of the best way forward, is always considering your business development strategy.
So I see something that I just have to point out. I want to make it a little bit bigger. Here's the terminology. That's too big. Hang on.
Which
okay.
One?
What is one of those terminology things?
Where'd it sub-tier.
Oh no. What'd I do? I have to.
Where'd you go?
Okay, here we go. Here's 1. 2. I see 2. All right. So remember, consulting was we couldn't do consulting. With consulting is a bad word.
Isn't it training now?
Training's a bad word too now.
Training's a bad word?
So look what we're going to call it. We're going to call it
advisory support, really?
And professional instructor services. Let's go take a look to see if they're the NAICS codes that we're going to expect to see them under. I'm such a nerd. I'm glad you guys are hanging in here with me because
I got to do a whole keyword parameter.
Okay, so maybe it is engineering advisory, right? Okay. I'm not going to go into the performance work statement and whatnot, but they're using engineering. So, but it might be engineering consulting, putting it under engineering. Let's take a look at the training. This one's going to be, okay. So no more 641-330.
Yeah, 611-710.
641-710 now. Little things like that, guys, keep your finger on the pulse of as it relates to your industry.
And so update those NAICS codes.
Because here's the thing is at the end of the day, simplified acquisitions are meat and potatoes for small businesses just getting started in the space. And, 250,000 isn't much, but you get a few of those in year 1 and 2, that profit you can then reinvest to go after that IDIQ in year 3, right? So that's how we build and we scale in government contracting. Yeah. So be cognizant and I don't see any industries or any products or services in the chat. I do see Lydell. Hey, Lydell. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. And guys, if you are just joining us or if you are new here, you can support us, please, by sharing, liking, subscribing, commenting. That will help us continue to make more content and continue to support you all in your strategies. So, but I thought this was really interesting.
All the things of training. You're going to see more of this, but more in depth.
Yes. Oh, yeah. A lot more of this. But those were just some things like I was messing around on SAM.
I was 8 years old when I learned about that. Now it's okay. I have to change my NAICS codes. And now I have to change my parameters, my key searches. So be proactive, change. Things are changing, but we change with them. But I didn't know that. I was like, oh, okay. Advisory services.
Here's something else. We're used to seeing language translation being used, right? As keywords. This is translator interpreter, right? So that's just one difference in terminology I'm noticing. Master planning services, R408. We know what that is. That's program management. So see what they're doing there. They're using the PSC code and the title, but calling it master planning. It's not project management. It's master planning. Make sure you call it that too.
I'm sure every project manager is giddy knowing they're the master.
They're all going to be master planners now. I know it. But this is what we mean by pivoting, right? This was the data that I have been waiting for to see, okay, if we can't call it that, what can we call it, right?
Ashley was like, I could do this show without you today because, girl, she had all the market research ready.
Because I had already been through this. I was already jotting down notes. I was like, look at this.
I was like, I'm just here for moral support.
Well, I definitely, no, your insight is super valuable because I got to tell you, I'm not going through all these documents here today. So I'm glad that you were able to give us some light on the simplification happening in the proposal side.
Administration. Let me see that one.
one?
Administrative and personnel facility security support. There are different variations of their titles, though.
Yeah, it's getting so
Changed to
often.
the point where I'm not even using office admin. I'd never seen that. That's usually something that's under administrative management.
Administrative management,
I've
general
never office
management.
administrative services.
There's not very many of them that have. I have not seen that NAICS code used.
I haven't seen that. I've been in this since 15. I didn't even know that NAICS code existed.
Interesting. I have also not seen that email address recently.
I would absolutely love to know what's happening on the other side of this.
Yeah.
Like what is the thought process? You know, what is the master planning that's going on back here? I know it's meant to like refine it and make it easier to navigate, but I'm just curious.
Rescue business support?
What the hell is that?
So when you said the titles were a little bit more on point, I was like,
what the hell is rescue business?
Let's figure it out. Logistics, facility support, side. All right. Okay. So here's where these are the personnel. So it's essentially a staffing situation, is what it looks like at first glance. Again, I'm not doing attachments. All right. Who do we have?
That is the most hilarious thing ever. I was like, is that FEMA?
Last tip was so helpful changing from, yes, I absolutely. Advisory I've seen used for consulting. Subject matter expertise I've seen used for consulting.
Oh, that's
good. Hey, Frank. Company always says we're consultants. I need to get them a new word and pitch. Yes, sir. Yeah. And now, I mean, look at the pre-solicitations and the solicitations that are out there. You guys are subject matter experts. You provide advisory services. Absolutely. It's get rid of anything that says consulting. I'm now back to being a business support person, I guess. Here's the thing is traditionally, like, I don't remember the government ever buying anything business support.
No,
like it just, you didn't see it articulated that way in the data.
Right.
You know? So definitely a lot of changes taking place and a lot of opportunity that I see if you're engaging before the solicitation. That's the key here tonight, I think.
I like the fact that there are more RFIs. I always like it better that way. I feel like it gives you the opportunity to connect prior. You don't, all right, so, you know, I truly believe, and I hear it all the time, like, oh, they don't, like, it's free labor. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's your way of connecting, right? And sharing information. It's a choice. It's optional. But ultimately, that's what all business development is. It's a gamble. It's an essential gamble. So it's a strategy. It's just another strategy. You spend a lot of time and money putting out a proposal that you don't know if you're going to win or not.
For a maybe, right?
So it's the same. So maybe you save that time and you put out a little white paper, you put out a little RFI out there, and they connect with you and they're interested in what you have to offer. And maybe they do a special notice or a pre-solicitation.
We're going to do a pre-solicitation.
And say, hey, you know, you won. And you get to do it because you contacted us and gave us the solutioning and helped us, and you checked all the boxes, and you saved more money in the long run by taking that attitude and switching it around into a positive, right? And just kind of taking a chance on yourself. I mean, you miss 100% of the chances you don't take.
That is absolutely for sure.
It doesn't hurt. It's one page. And with ChatGPT nowadays, I mean, you guys can write a page in an hour. Come on.
Oh, we do have some project manager going on here. Okay.
Support services.
So okay. This is opportunity, because if you're a subject matter expert and you're a PMP, I mean, this potentially might be a simplified acquisition. I'm not going to dig too far into it, but look, when you guys are out here reviewing these things and you can look at the work, and if you're in your industry for a while and you're used to your industry, you're going to know by looking at the scope roundabout what that dollar figure is, right? If that dollar figure comes in lower than 250,000, put a little extra effort into that source of SOT. Try to ghost your competitors. Try to justify why you are the best person. That $250,000 spot right now is the sweet spot. So if we're going to be moving more toward these long-term IDIQs and contract vehicles, small businesses are not necessarily going to, not saying you're not going to have a shot, please don't get me wrong, but your cost per sale is going to go up, right? So the probability of you onboarding as a prime on these contract vehicles, you may decide to not even bid because it's too much. But this stuff, the crumbs, these are definitely, I mean, there's so many of them that could lead to bigger acquisitions that you influence once you get your foot in that door. So do not outreach support. We don't do marketing anymore, guys. No more marketing. It's irrelevant. But outreach support, no, that is something that is vital.
We're really just, it's like a tit for tat here.
Where are we putting this under? Look what we're putting it under now. So all of the Gates codes for marketing that were on your radar, graphic design, marketing, consulting, all of that stuff. Now you are 541990 and R408. Let's see what they want. They do want a potential woman-owned small business firm. Now here, okay, so they did apparently find it because they did set it aside. So there must be at least 2 women-owned small businesses that responded to this requirement because it has been set aside. And I'm not going to go through the draft PWS, but those of you ladies in marketing, I mean, if you're not responding and putting your hat in the ring when you see that pre-solicitation that looks like an award notice saying that someone won, don't say, well, where was the solicitation? There wasn't one. It was awarded before it ever hit solicitation. So now you guys have a little bit more insight. Go and get rid of your codes completely from your searches and do an organic search based on what you learned here this evening, and bring me some feedback. Tell me what you're finding out about your industry and how it's changing in terminology. Take that new terminology and then website, capability statement, LinkedIn profile, business everywhere. Change the terminology everywhere. That way, when someone under this administration is looking for you in DSBS or Google or wherever they're looking, you're showing up based on the terminology they're searching by. So I know there wasn't format and a whole like organized plan to this episode, but
no, I learned a lot. I'm still over here looking at security support services and I'm like, okay. So no, absolutely. I think
I hope that you guys saw value in this episode. Natasha was quite confused with my excitement. So
okay, girl, what are you so excited about? And I was like, I get it. Data.
I mean, they're opportunities. You call it data, I call it opportunities.
They're data.
Thank you so much, Frank. I appreciate your joining in and your participation. Do let me know what you're seeing out there, and maybe we can just meet off the podcast personally and talk about what you're seeing as far as changes in consulting. So I know that you guys do a lot of different types of consulting. So there's probably different changes that are happening depending on the type of consulting. Over here, it's calling it subject matter expertise. Over here, we're calling advisory. So tailoring those capability statements is definitely the next step.
I think I'm going to be rocking that master planning.
Yeah. Everybody's a master
one right there.
All right. Anybody have any last minute questions before we head off? When I head off of here, I am out for the whole weekend.
Where are you going?
Don't call me. I'm going to the island. I'm pitching a tent. Don't call me.
Oh my goodness. Terrifying.
Leave me alone. I need to unplug, and then I will come back Monday with a refreshed perspective.
Get it, girl.
Don't forget to unplug, guys. If you take nothing away from this episode, take time for yourself. Don't forget about that, because Government contracting, enough of it will make you crazy after a while.
It's been a rough week. It's been a rough month. It's been a rough year. What year? What month is it?
Can you
It's
believe
already
that we're
May.
already in May?
I can't. I don't understand what's happening.
I don't even know. But the year is definitely flying by, which I mean, I'm not terribly disappointed about because
I'm ready for Christmas. I'm over it. Like, it just goes to
my kid's grown now. I mean, Christmas, you'll be lucky if I put a tree up this year. But
no, just like Santa Claus. I need to have all the trees. Maybe that's why
I'll live vicariously through you, and I'll get all of your pictures of all of your decorations and all of the
you'll be over for Christmas. Probably.
I'll come over for your Christmas party.
Live in my tree.
I'll bring the high noons.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, you have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Let us know if you have questions, if you want to see something specific, if this episode sparked additional questions you have. We do check comments, so please be sure to drop your questions in the comments. If it's a whole nother episode that we can create that will help answer that question, we are not opposed to doing that. So once again,
guidance is always key. And also, if you need services, Ashley does CRM support for Monday.com, which I've recently seen her recent build up, and am I impressed? And
that was one kick-ass system.
That was beautiful. And she also does business development, capture, and market research, as you can see. And if you
I'm in market research.
I'm your girl.
Yeah, I will definitely be happy to take your calls. If you guys do need assistance, you can find at govconhacks.com/strategy session, schedule a call with me. I must say, though, in closing, and so there is a process. If you are interested in teaming with either one of us, please do not use the same calendar link. Please do send us your capability statements in advance. I've had a lot of people on my calendar rescheduling, and it's been a little chaotic to keep up with for teaming opportunities. So I appreciate the interest. I really, really do. I look forward to getting in touch with all of you eventually, but let's do it the right way. Send me your capability statement. Give me a moment to evaluate that, look you guys up, and then we'll set a proper virtual meeting to where we can sit down and talk about opportunities together after an NDA is signed. This isn't definitely have to just be respectful of everyone's time. So thank you all for your interest. Please share this with someone that you think that it might help. Like, subscribe and tap the bell for notifications. We'll be back in 2 weeks live, and we will try to have something posted for you guys next Thursday. So we'll need to schedule that, Natasha.
Yes, we'll do it to get back.
All right, everyone. Have a great weekend. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.